how do you change your thoughts? They talked about nutrition and how it affected the body. How can you change your whole diet when you've been eating this way for years? And we just started one thing at a time. And then the more we learned about that, then we would come across like the mental part, and we started learning about our thoughts. And then we started learning about emotions and how do you handle emotions in a healthy way. Try something before you judge it. It feels really good. Yeah, it feels really good.
So Karen, I am so excited to have you today, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to come and that we get to hear more about you, your life experiences, where you've been and where you're going. So I would love for you to just introduce yourself to everyone, and by starting out by who you are.
Okay. My name is Karen Higbee, and I have been a wife for like 30 some odd years, and a mother of 5 children, which I love. And during that time, I found I was missing some things. And so in my journey, I've become a foot zone therapist. I've become a Reiki master. I've learned about neurolinguistic programming and timeline therapy and how important the subconscious is. And now I love to share that with women and to be able to help them find their authentic self and feel joy, which is kind of the path that I took.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. So what was it that, transitioned you from the life that you were living? You've been a wife, you've been a mother, and then suddenly you're doing the things that you're doing now.
I think for a lot of time, I just wasn't happy.
Really?
I mean, in moments I was happy, but just to feel organically joyful in life, I never felt that. And I always felt like something was missing, and started to just learn about different natural health things. I mean, it started off with family members with physical things, and so we started researching other areas and just stumbled into natural health, and it just started calling to me, and just I found answers and things started to shift just a little bit. And because of that, it was something I decided I need to pursue. And I don't know if I did it consciously. I think part of it was the subconscious. I was just drawn to it. And after I started seeing changes and noticing things in my life and in my family, it was something that I consciously started to change, as well as then stepping out with my husband. We made some decisions. We decided we wanted to have a different life than what we had, and learning natural health and energy work and all that kind of stuff was a path. And then it finally got to a point where I'm like, I've been supporting my husband in this path because that's what he ended up doing for our family, for his living. And I felt like I needed to do something too. And my kids were old enough, and I just decided it's my time.
Yeah.
And things work out, I feel, when they're supposed to. And it's been a glorious trip.
Yeah. I mean, here you are having had a gradual experience, and it sounds like you acknowledged that you weren't really happy, and it started with changing your health.
It started with changing our health, and then the next step was our thoughts, because we learned a lot about positive and negative self-talk and how that would affect a person. And we made it a very conscious decision when we learned about that to change. And I thought, how do you change your thoughts? There are so many thoughts that come in, that how do you ever change that? And so we thought, well, we'll just change what we say. And so we just started actually saying, stop, cancel that. How can you rephrase it differently? And we'd say it to our kids, we'd say it to each other. I would say it to myself. I would go, oh, cancel, erase that. I don't want that in my life. And then we would stop and rephrase it and say something else out loud. And so our conversations for an outside person listening would think they were really strange. Because we would keep putting these interrupts in all of our conversations. And it shifted though, because now over the months and years that we started doing that, it was easier to stop it before it even came out your mouth. And then it was easy to stop the thoughts. And so now my family, and my kids especially too, it's very fun to watch them be very aware of outside situations where they come home like, Mom, it was so negative. That people don't realize that what they say just normally, you think it's just normal. And if you really stop and think about it, it comes out in more of a negative way.
So the more you became conscious and really intentional the more you started to observe it in others that may or may not have been.
Yeah.
And then how long have you and your family been doing this?
We've been on this journey for about 20 years. 25 years.
Wow, that long
So-
ago you discovered it.
Yeah.
And how long before then had you started adjusting your lifestyle? And in essence, was it your food or your nutrition? Is
The
that what started
nutrition
it?
is how it started.
Okay.
We just started noticing, well, my husband got into foot zone therapy, and as part of his training and stuff, they talked about nutrition and how it affected the body. And so the more we started learning about that, we started looking at what we were actually eating. And it was so many dyes and so many chemicals. And we understood how it related to the health issues that our family was going through. And so the more we started to pull those things out and started to eat more real food and more homegrown food, and shifting the things that we needed to do for our family, we started noticing a big difference in our health and how we felt. And so that was like the really beginning first step that we took.
Wow. And
So,
it wasn't necessarily even conscious that it would ripple into other areas of your life. It's just, here we go. We're starting in one aspect, feeling like, oh, we're learning more. What is it going to be like if we start implementing that? And then here you are, mentally, intentionally changing your life. Would you say it started to get into other areas of your life and continuing to expand in ways that you never expected?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It started out being very overwhelming because how can you change your whole diet when you've been eating this way for years? And we just started one thing at a time. And then the more we learned about that, then we would come across like the mental part, and we started learning about our thoughts. And then we started learning about emotions and how do you handle emotions in a healthy way. And if they got too intense, how do you clear them? And so those were big things. And learning a little bit more about energy and the power of energy, and then teaching our kids. And so it was like line upon line type of thing as we learned one thing and started practicing and living it. And it wasn't always this real conscious thing. Some things just kind of slipped into our life, and we just kind of added them, and they came in very gently. But the more we did that, the more we were open to more, and the more things came into our lives. So.
Wow. I remember for me when I had a health crisis, and I was actually having gallbladder attacks. I was pregnant for the first time, and I thought it was as a result of pregnancy. I'm like, if this is pregnancy, I don't think I can do this again. And I had this awakening that I needed to become healthier. But the hardest pill for me to swallow was thinking I already was healthy, and it was a stumbling block for me, and like this idea that I didn't need to improve, when the reality was there were certain things happening within me that were a direct result of what I was choosing to consume. And so have you had any moments like that where you're like, I'm good, and then you're like, but wait a minute, maybe there's something better, or time to level up? Have you been more conscious of your blocks and maybe the blind spots that you didn't know were there as you've continued to move forward?
Yeah, I don't think I was ever at a point where I'm like, I'm good. I've always felt like there was something more. And it was always interesting to see how those things were brought into my life. I would have a certain situation where I'm like, I'm not sure what to do, but this doesn't feel right. And then as I would just think about it and just go on with my life and be open, it seems like answers would just tend to come. And sometimes it has taken about 20 years for answers to come, because I've been dealing with different digestive issues. And up until this last summer, I finally was able to get some real resolution with it, and in a very good place with it, when it could have gone in a very bad place. So, and tied in with all of that, I feel like learning the emotions and how the emotions are connected with our physical body was huge. And so we needed to learn that and learn how to release the emotions so that our physical body could actually heal, which our bodies can do on their own for most part. I know there's certain things where it does need support, of course. And I think by releasing those negative emotions, it allows the body to be filled with more of the light and more of the healing, that it can actually put the energy towards healing instead of holding things. And so all these things are so intertwined and connected that it was just a really interesting awareness to watch how things have come into my life. I mean, in the moment, I don't know if I recognized it all, but looking back, it's just interesting to see how the little pieces just kind of came at the times when we were ready for them.
Wow. Wow. So, from an outside perspective, do you think it's possible that people could experience the amazing healing that you've gone through without it taking 20 years?
Oh, definitely.
What would make the difference
Yeah.
for them?
I think just knowing what's available, because I didn't know. I had no idea. I was brought up in a very normal family life where we didn't do a lot of alternative anything. You know, it was just, you just got up and you went to school and you did your stuff and you just lived your life. And but the more I've learned, and it's taken 20 years to learn all this, I think now there's so much information out there that you can learn something from someone and then feel inspired or guided, and just come across social media something or that can be brought to you, and or get a mentor, you know, and things can happen. But when we were starting this, we didn't have mentors. We didn't even know what a mentor was, you know. And I think you can learn from other people's lives so that you can take what you need and incorporate it into your life and move faster, instead of having to slowly try to research it and find it on your own.
Do you have mentors now?
I do. Yes.
Do you have more than one?
Yes. I have a couple right now.
Okay. What are they for?
The first one that I had, it was for training, and it was for learning timeline therapy, and continue to learn and grow from them. And I keep in touch with them and watching their experience and following the things that they've learned. And it just brings insight. You know, if there's something on a podcast that I hear from them, I pick up what I need to pick up, and the things that I feel like I don't need, I just let go. So it's not a lot of one-on-one. Some of them are. A lot of it's just kind of now watching their social media. And I do have one class that I am taking that's learning about more spiritual gifts and the energetics side and those types of things, the metaphysical stuff that I have never had the opportunity to get into. My husband has had those experiences, and that was his journey, and this is in his life. And I was always a background support to help him in what he needed to do, you know, take care of our family. And now I feel like it's time for me to step into what my gifts are. And it's making me a little not sure. I'm a little nervous. And I'm really glad and grateful to have my mentor and be a part of a group of women who are on this process together. And so to be able to step into a space that I've been in a little bit, just it's little experiences have happened over the years where I'm like, that was really cool. But I didn't feel like I could step into taking the time to really learn it fully. And now is that time. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, is learning my gifts and how to develop those gifts on the kind of energetic side.
Are you discovering how the metaphysical actually does play into the physical?
Oh, I know it has, because I've been a witness of it for
Right.
15, 20 years with my husband.
Yeah.
I've just never actually delved into it myself. And so now it's this fun, exciting, little nervous, you know, to see where I fit in and how it's going to fit into my life and my journey. And I know it's huge and it's powerful, and it can be a great blessing for people and women. And I think that's probably why I want to work with women and help women to find those gifts, because I don't have answers. I just have tools that I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
And my thinking is, here, I'm just going to show you all that I've learned, and you get to connect with your inner self and use what's best for you to find in yourself the answers you need, because no one on the outside can give you your answers. I would never even presume to think I could give anybody answers. And at the same time, I feel like I can give support. I can give a space for learning. I can give information,
Mm-hmm.
and then allow them to take what they need and listen to themselves and find out the answers inside, because that's where the answers are.
Yeah, to me that sounds like accelerated learning. It's like it took you 20 years to do this, and now with the tools that you have, you just help create that space, what you described, for others to find the answers within themselves. Just like, I mean, having the opportunity to work with you where you helped me go in and in a matter of a few minutes clear a lifetime of pain in this area of my life. And it was powerful and incredible. And so that's the kind of thing that I'm excited that people get to experience, and that more and more people can know that it's available, and that you are becoming, like right now, you are available to do that for specifically your clientele as women, or are you open to working with anyone?
I'm open to working with anyone. I love working with women just because their situations and their life stories just kind of resonate with me.
Yeah.
And I've also have worked with men and have seen they've had some great, incredible changes.
Yeah. So what is your long-term goal with now where you're at in life? I mean, granted, you probably didn't start on this journey thinking like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, in 20 years from now.
Oh, no.
And now here you are, you're like, I'm doing this. So like 5 years from now or 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? I mean, granted, it could be totally different than what you say now, but what is the feeling there? What is the desired goal? What is your intention?
My intention is to share mainly the subconscious and how the subconscious works and how you can change it, because that is the timeline therapy is what switched it for me. And so I really would like to see myself working one-on-one with women, working in small groups with women, in helping them be able to learn and understand how they can clear out negative patterns that have been happening over and over again because they're in their subconscious. And if you can change those, then your subconscious allows you to see so many different things that you didn't. Wow. And I just really feel strongly that women need to find and live in their feminine energy, because the first 25, 30 years of my marriage and even my life, I was living in my masculine energy, which everyone has both, and they're both wonderful and needful. I was just way too much in my masculine, and it was very hard, and it was very pushing, and it was a struggle. And life is supposed to be filled with joy and filled with ease, and the feminine energy flows and receives. And when a woman steps into that, she can just be. She gets to be her authentic self, and the things that she chooses just come. And when I first heard that, I was sitting there, yeah, right, sure. Things just come. How? And my masculine side is like, how do they come? We got to figure that out. And I got to a point where I just stepped into I'm just going to be. I'm just going to let it be. I'm not going to figure it out. And a big part of it was I have a great connection with Heavenly Mother, and I just gave her my business. I said, you know what it's supposed to be like. You know the women out there who can be supported by what I've learned, what you've taught me, and you know how to connect us. And when I literally did that, it took a weight off my shoulders. I just was so at peace, and things have literally just come to me. Opportunities have just come to me, and like reconnecting with you was a big part of that. It just happened because I followed what I was inspired to do each day, and that's what you do. You follow your inspiration each day and just allow you to be directed and guided, and life moves. So that's what I want, and see myself sharing with women. However that looks.
Yeah. And how does it feel?
It feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels really good.
Does it feel just aligned and in harmony?
It does.
Yeah. So I have a question, and that is, what advice would you give to the skeptics?
Try something before you judge it.
Yeah.
Actually give it an honest try. Put yourself out there, even if it's uncomfortable.
Have you had moments where you felt really skeptical of what you were told to do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples you'd like to share?
What do you think of that?
It might have been a while ago. I don't
know. When people would say, you just get to be happy. You want to manifest, for people who've heard about manifesting and vision boards and all those wonderful things. And those are all wonderful tools. When I first heard it, I'm like, yeah, sure, just be happy. because I was in a place where I had so many subconscious programs running that were in opposition to feeling joy and happiness. And so for my whole life, many years, there was times when I would force myself to be happy. You know, it's like you had to force it, you had to try really hard, and it got to be too tiring. And so when they're just saying, if you want to manifest and if you want to create a better life, you just got to have your frequency up and be happy. And I was just like, I have no idea how to do that.
Wow. Do you remember the tipping point?
It was the biggest one was clearing the emotions, because then I actually had glimpses of it. But it seemed like those emotions would always come back and I didn't understand why, until I learned neurolinguistic programming and timeline therapy and learned how our subconscious really works and why it's working and how it actually deletes opportunities, it deletes information from us because it doesn't go along with our programming. And the programming is what our subconscious thinks we believe. And so when I finally was able to start changing those, and they literally leave, they don't come back. It is a physical brain change. There's brain waves and things that just, I don't understand all the technicals of it, but it does change. And so when I went through that program, I literally felt permanent change. And so then it was like, I really can feel joy. And oh my gosh, feeling happy? Yeah. And surrendering and letting life be and not trying to control it and trying to figure everything out. Putting all those things together that's when the shift just happened. It just went from just black to white. And I'm like, now I get it. I totally understand now what they're talking about.
So what I hear is you went from control and almost like scarcity and like trying to figure out all the answers and do all the things, and you were miserable. And then suddenly, like, when you started letting things go, how things had to be, you started to feel better, and then you let go. Like you weren't in control anymore. In essence, you're surrendering to what's moving forward. And the way I'm seeing it and visualizing it is like, in essence, holding on to emotion rather than letting it flow was actually stopping you from feeling true joy. Like it's like you genuinely couldn't fake it to make it. It was not real. It was not authentic. It was painful. And then suddenly you started to taste it gradually. And then just that gradual shift was actually the doorway that opened for the massive change of, I'm going to continue on this road because I just sampled reality and the truth of what's possible.
Yeah.
And then you just continued on the journey. Yeah. How long do you feel like you were intentionally working through those past emotions and clearing them to flow, get the energy and emotion moving?
A year and a half.
That's it?
Really, yeah. I mean, I have done a lot of work, and it seemed like things were shifting, but they would still be stuck. And the big thing that you mentioned was control. And I was very, very much feeling like I had to control. Growing up, I don't like contention. I don't like to be uncomfortable. That's a huge thing for me, is I love to be comfortable. And being in a family of 9 siblings, very, very close together. And because there's contention and life happens. And family situations, I felt like I had to control everything. And so if I could control you, then nothing could happen to you that would make you unhappy. And so everyone's happiness was more important than mine. And so I had to control everybody to make sure everyone was happy and at peace, so I would feel comfortable. And then my mother passed away when I was 18, and other family things just fell apart. And so I was in control of the more family structure, the house, meals. I had younger siblings. So I just kind of fell into feeling like I had to be in control. And then it happened when I got married and my kids. I just was like, I would just say, and it was a subconscious. I just have to control everything so that all of my family is happy. And when I was able to release those programmings, which happened. I stumbled across this timeline therapy about a year and a half ago. And I jumped into it with both feet, right into the deep end, and just started working every day with it. And just getting rid of every single program. Anything that came up negative, and I thought, do I believe that? Do I want that in my life still? And no, I would have pages. I would write down pages and pages of what I felt were limiting beliefs, and I would just clear them and just cross them off. And I would do that for hours, for days. And there got to be some days where it's like your brain literally, you could feel your brain literally changing. It's like, okay, you got to stop. Your brain is really tired, and it did get headaches. And so I would have to go, okay, you've got to be balanced with this. There's a balance between supporting and just getting crazy with it. But I kept with it for a good year and a half. And I still do it. It's part of my life now. I don't do it that much. If something comes up, I can just close my eyes and run through the process. But it has made a huge difference in being able to be in a place where I can really feel.
You're actually connected to your emotions.
I allow myself to feel. And that's another journey of learning to surrender and surrender doesn't mean just be okay with what's going on around you. It means not letting your emotions and what's going on around you control how you choose to feel. And learning that your body knows what to do with the emotions. She knows. You just need to let her do it. And part of that is just being able to just relax and breathe.
It's like getting out of the way.
You have to get out of your own way.
How has this affected your relationships?
It's been so much more peaceful,
Yeah.
so much more joy. Because when you're not trying to control everybody, you can actually have wonderful moments. And we did have wonderful moments in my life and with my family.
Mm-hmm.
But it's deeper now.
Yeah.
And I look at my family and what goes on in our home. And it's so different from night and day. It is literally a party. We are all just happy. And we have fun together. And my kids love to hang out with each other. And we love to hang out with our kids, and they like to be with us. And it's just a fun, energetically different place than it's ever been. And it's like, this is where life happens. When you get to be in a place of just joy and just love and just be happy for everyone's accomplishments and be able to move in a wonderful direction together as a family and as a couple and as a person. Wow. Yeah, it's mind-blowing when I look back and see this was where I'm at and this is who I am now. I sit there and go, I feel like a different person. Literally, I feel like a different person.
You are.
So
You are. And yet, do you feel like your family changed or you changed? I mean, they probably did, but ultimately, do you feel like you're the one that made the biggest changes to see everything differently?
I think at this point, I have probably changed the most out of my family. And they have also been on board with all that we've been learning. We've kind of done it as a family together. I just feel like it was my time. And all the changes that have happened so quickly for me, I feel like I've been waiting. And I've been ready. And I've done a lot of prep work. And at the same time, I get to allow my family to move at their pace, which they are. And it's beautiful. And it's been an amazing journey. And I'm just happy to be here and to be able to share it with other women, because I think everyone can feel the joy and happiness of what life really should be like.
I love that. I love that the changes you made in turn really did change your family and how you felt about them. Thank you so much for coming.